If you're trying to decide between a traveler's notebook passport and regular, I'll help you work out which size is right for you. How much room will you have to write? What do you want to use it for? And which one are you actually going to carry with you? I've used traveler's notebooks on and off since 2014, so I'll share what I've learned from actually living with both sizes and a simple way you can test which one works better with your own handwriting and everyday life before you decide. By the end, you should have a much clearer idea of which size fits you. So first, the obvious difference. This is a passport and this is a regular. The passport is considerably smaller, but something that's also worth seeing is how narrow the regular actually is. Here it is next to a more conventional A5 notebook from Moleskine. So even though the regular is the larger of the two traveler's notebooks, you're still getting this relatively narrow page compared with an A5. I do use small notebooks quite a lot. These are field notes, so they're actually a little bit bigger than the paper inserts made for the traveler's notebook passport. You can see the difference if I put an actual passport insert on top. And sometimes I even put one of these field notes notebooks inside my passport cover. It sticks out at the top, as you can see. I don't mind that. I actually like having that little bit of extra writing space. You might feel completely differently about the overhang, but that's useful information too. You're not trying to work out which size you're supposed to prefer. You're trying to notice how much writing space feels comfortable to you. For the comparison I'm doing here though, I'm using an actual traveler's notebook passport insert, so this is a writing space you would actually get with the passport size. And rather than just giving you measurements, I think it's more useful to show you what that means when you're writing. I'm going to write exactly the same sentence in both. And now, exactly the same sentence in the regular. So you can see how much of the page the same amount of writing takes up in each size. And before you decide whether that extra space matters to you, think about the notebooks you've already enjoyed using. Do you normally reach for smaller notebooks, or do you like having more space on the page? Do smaller pages feel satisfying to you or cramped? And what about your handwriting? If you write quite large, you may find that you fill a passport page very quickly. That could annoy you, or that could be exactly what you like. Maybe you enjoy filling a page quickly, turning it, and starting another one. So you don't have to start from scratch just because you're choosing a traveler's notebook. The notebooks you've already enjoyed using can tell you quite a lot about which size you're likely to prefer. And for me, this is probably the biggest difference between the two. I tried using my passport for planning, and for smaller things, it can work perfectly well. But I've also tried planning out a bigger project in it, where I needed to think through quite a lot of things and see how they fitted together, and I gave up. I simply couldn't get the overview I wanted on a page this small. That's when I much prefer the regular, or sometimes even something larger, like an A5 notebook. But that doesn't mean more space is automatically better. There are people who use the passport for journaling and pretty much everything else they want from a notebook. They genuinely prefer that smaller page and don't want a regular. And other people are exactly the opposite. They use the regular for almost everything and happily accept that it's larger and therefore less portable. Because choosing a notebook size isn't always something you can reduce to a perfectly logical list of advantages and disadvantages. Sometimes you simply enjoy writing in a small notebook, or you pick up the regular and immediately feel more comfortable having that extra room. And I think that matters. A notebook can be perfectly suited to your needs on paper, but if you don't really enjoy writing in it, you're probably not going to keep reaching for it. Did you ever buy a larger notebook that was wonderful to write in, but somehow never went anywhere with you? We'll come back to that, because carrying the notebook changes this decision quite a bit. But first, we need to know what you're actually going to do inside it. So that's the first piece of the decision. If you need room to spread out, see more at a glance, or plan more complicated things, Regular has the advantage. If you enjoy a smaller writing area, Passport may give you all the space you actually want. The second question is what you actually want to do in your traveler's notebook. Because I've used my regulars for lots of different things over the years, I've used them for travel journaling, for meeting notes and work to-dos, for journaling and drawing. And right now, I even have one regular that I use when I'm playing D&D with friends. And I'm not showing you all of this because these are things you should use a regular for. I'm showing you because the size only becomes meaningful once you picture what you want to do on those pages. For me, if I'm going to sit down and really write, plan, or think something through, I like having the extra room. My Passport has been much more of an on-the-go notebook for me. Quick notes, to-dos, things where I don't need a lot of space or a big overview. But that's my use, not a rule about these sizes. I would never say Passport is for quick notes, regular is for journaling, because someone else might happily do all his or her journaling in Passport and find the regular unnecessarily big. So instead, think about what you want to put on your pages. Maybe you want yours for studies, a training log, recipes, morning pages, book notes, or several completely different things. Now picture yourself actually doing those things. How much room would you want? Would that little Passport page feel pleasantly contained? Or would you keep wishing you had the extra room of the regular? The question isn't, what is a Passport supposed to be for? It's, what do I want to use mine for? And which of these two pages would I rather be doing that on? So now we have two pieces of the decision: how much room you enjoy having and what you're actually going to do with it. But there's still one problem. The notebook that feels best when you're sitting at a table isn't necessarily the notebook you're going to bring with you. And this is where the Passport can have a very obvious advantage. I own 3 regular traveler's notebooks and only one Passport, so you can probably tell which size I personally gravitate towards. But I've still left a regular at home because I couldn't be bothered carrying it. And that's where the Passport suddenly becomes very attractive. It's much easier to slip into a smaller bag and just have with you. And a notebook with less writing space that's in your bag can obviously be more useful than a larger notebook sitting at home. Remember that larger notebook I asked you to think about earlier, the one you may have enjoyed writing in but somehow never took anywhere. That's useful evidence. Think about the notebooks you've actually carried, not the ones you intended to carry when you bought them. Did you happily throw a larger notebook into your bag every morning? Or did it gradually start staying on your desk because it was just that little bit too big? Maybe you already know that you adore pocket notebooks precisely because they're so easy to bring everywhere. Or perhaps portability isn't particularly important because you mostly write at home anyway. So think about your normal life. What bag do you normally carry? Are you going to commute with this? Take it traveling? Carry it while you're running errands? Or will it mostly stay at home or at work, where carrying it isn't really an issue? I don't think you should choose for the person you imagine yourself becoming after buying a beautiful new notebook. Choose for the person who's actually going to have to carry the thing around. And if you're wondering about the extra hole in the spine of my covers, that's something I added myself because I don't like the elastic knot at the back. I have a separate video showing what I did, so I'll link that here. And if you're still not sure, you can actually test both sizes before you buy either one. There are two slightly different things worth testing. First, how much writing space the inserts give you. And second, how much space the actual leather notebook cover will take up when you're carrying it. Those aren't quite the same dimensions, so I'm going to make a simple paper version of both. Let's start with the inserts, because that's the part that tells you how much room you'll have to write. I'm putting the dimensions on screen, so you can pause here if you want to make these yourself. These are the dimensions of the whole piece of paper lying flat before I fold it in half. What we're trying to find out is whether this amount of page space feels comfortable with your handwriting. And now I have roughly the writing space I'd get in each size without having to own either insert first. So now I can actually write on them. Write the same thing on both at your normal handwriting size. Don't deliberately write smaller because you're testing the Passport. Does the Passport feel pleasantly compact or annoyingly cramped? Does the Regular feel comfortably spacious or unnecessarily large? But writing space is only half of this decision. Now we need to test the thing you're actually going to carry. So I'm going to do the exact same thing for the leather covers. The leather covers are a little larger than the paper inserts inside them. So this time I'm using the outside dimensions of the Passport and Regular covers. Traveler's Company lists the dimension of the covers closed, but I couldn't find official dimensions for the leather lying completely flat. So I measured my own traveler's notebooks instead. Again, the measurements on screen are for the whole piece lying flat. This gives you a much better idea of the footprint of each notebook cover than using the insert dimensions would. But there is one limitation to doing this with paper. It obviously can't reproduce the thickness and flexibility of the actual leather cover, especially once you've started putting inserts inside it. Here's the paper version of the Passport next to my actual Passport cover. And the same applies to the Regular. For example, this paper Passport gives me a quick indication that this size could work in a small bag like my Fonto Coach 90 from Topology. But I can check that against the real thing. And yes, my actual Passport fits. The Regular is different. It simply doesn't fit in this bag at all. You're just trying to answer two very practical questions before you spend the money. Does this page give me enough room to write the way I normally write? And is this notebook a size I'm actually going to want to carry? A few pieces of ordinary paper can get you surprisingly close to answering both. If you want more writing space and more room to get an overview, and you're happy carrying the larger notebook, the Regular is probably going to suit you better. If having something compact enough to bring with you matters more, and what you want to do doesn't require as much page space, the Passport may be the better fit. But don't ignore which one you simply prefer using. Neither one is a better traveler's notebook. The right one is the one that works for you, for what you want it to do, fits the way you actually live, and feels like a notebook you're going to want to use. And once you've chosen your size, there's another decision waiting for you. What should you actually put inside it? Because with so many different inserts to choose from, it's very easy to end up with a setup that looks great, but isn't actually that nice to use. That's what will work out next. Thank you for being here, and come walk with me into the pages still waiting.